Good evening to all of you. Today is the last day of the International Summer School for Professors Training 2023, and we only have words of gratitude for each of our lecturers, speakers, and assistants for having accompanied us over the course of these 4 days. This initiative, led by the Corporation for Systemic and Strategic Educational Thinking, PENSER, it is very gratifying for us to have the participation of higher education institutions from different countries such as Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Australia, Philippines, Thailand, Poland, Pakistan, Sweden, Albania, Vietnam, China, Canada, Italy, Romania, Russia, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Peru, Mexico, among others. We reiterate our deep gratitude to our lecturers who have donated their time and knowledge to make this space a reality today. We will develop the fourth day, which is framed into the professor as an educational leader from systemic thinking. We remind you that PENSER Corporation is an NGO of teachers for teachers, and we focus on developing research to make advisory and consulting training processes in our 3 main lines of work: integral formation of children and youth, systemic educational processes, and holistic andragogy. This course is part of our line of systemic educational processes, specifically in the subline of permanent teacher training. Likewise, in the line of work of systemic educational processes, we accompany institutions and universities with professors from Central and South America in the following fields: methodologies and tools for planning follow-up through management indicators, impact evaluation of policies, strategies, and programs in higher education management, curricular modernization, focused on learning outcomes, development of virtual and extended reality experience for educational purposes, mobile applications for information and knowledge management in academic environments, conceptual and methodological support in self-evaluation processes. Finally, continuing education in agreement with foreign universities. Some considerations to take into account before starting. Each lecture will have an approximate duration of 25 minutes and 5 minutes question time. Participants can write their questions in YouTube chat to be read by the professor, by the moderator, or enter the Zoom platform with the link that we will provide previously. If you wish, you obtain the certificate of participation. It is subject to conditions and you will have to attend the complete course. A link will be available in the YouTube chat for daily attendance control. The certificate will be issued within a maximum of 10 working days and can be requested upon completion of the course. This course will be available on our YouTube channel. Finally, we invite you to follow us on our social networks. You can find us as PENSER Corporation, in Spanish, Corporación PENSER. In this way, we'll start the 4th day of the International Summer School for Professors Training 2023. We invite the Professor Ph. Michel Lourier, who holds a PhD from the University of Toronto in curriculum. Until he retired 5 years ago, he was professor in mesmerism and evaluation education. He published several books and many articles and made many presentations on learning assessment and language testing. He has been Dean of the Faculty of Education at the University of Montreal. He then moved to the University of Ottawa to be Dean at Provost. He participated in many program reviews and currently sits on the Audit Committee of the Quality Council of the Universities of the Province of Ontario in Canada. He is also involved in the accreditation of universities in Colombia with the National Council of Accreditation. Go ahead, Professor, welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the PENSER Corporation for inviting me at this new edition of the International Summer School for Professor Training. Since our participated in the first edition 2 years ago, I can see how this organization has grown, which reflects the professors' interest for issues that are related to the evolution and improvement of their institution and their own practice. I will try to share my screen now. Just a moment. Okay, can you see the?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the previous presentation, professor has been described as a researcher with social relevance, a disseminator of knowledge, and as a scientist of the teaching and learning process. This already shows the complexity of the professor's role. This presentation addresses the last thematic line of the program, the professor as an educational leader from systemic thinking. So I will try to show how, as a professor, you can be a leader in your field, as committed teachers and researcher, a leader in your community as engaged administrators and citizens. All right. Just a moment, I cannot move to PowerPoint. Right. So the complexity of the professor's task reflects the complexity of the higher education system. On one hand, colleges and universities are primarily educational institutions, which means that they must offer student programs, study programs. Some institutions are more comprehensive. Others focus on some disciplines, for example, liberal arts, health sciences, professional programs, or they focus on study levels, technical, undergrad, graduate studies. Some institutions are considered as research institutions, whereas others mainly focus on their teaching mission. Some are located in urban environment, others are in remote area, which is important because the institution must create close links with the social environment. Some are very small and other very large. I work in Canada, in the province of Ontario, belong to the Ontario University Quality Assurance Council. One of the university we look at receive less than 50 students, whereas the University of Toronto receives more than 150 students. And this is even small when compared to the Indira Gandhi National Open University with more than 4 million students. Some are private, and among the private one, mainly operates with public funding, or the opposite, which is a major trend, public institution relying heavily on private funding. So what is amazing is to see that all these universities are inspired by the same old model. The University of Bologna, which was founded in 1088, almost 1,000 years ago. At that time, the university was controlled by a corporation of scholars, students, and professors, and received many foreign students called nations. The role of the institution was to create and disseminate knowledge. The Bologna governance model is still the one that inspires most universities around the world. The university has an open forum where different ideas interplay and where understanding the world is still a dominant value. Of course, this model is repeatedly questioned by observers and considered as anachronical, but it still works. But it seems that higher education is now at a turning point. The Bologna model cannot be applied without taking into consideration major factors such as the use of internet for course delivery. There were no MOOCs at the University of Bologna. The organization of research and development. scholar who corresponds to the medial erudite person has become a myth. The rise of professors' union. Many universities struggle to maintain a collegiate management approach in a unionized environment that assumes an employer versus employee relationship. The demographic changes. In many countries, the population gets older. The evolution of higher education funding. High tuition fees, of course, impact access. And finally, the influence of external stakeholders. And this is a growing influence that we observe from groups who contribute to funding, parents, government, of course, but also donors, industry, and so on. So, in fact, some people are perceived, some people who are perceived as major, as people who play a major leadership role, in fact, might have minimal influence because there are so many internal and external stakeholders in higher education who can share their authority. To help conceptualize this phenomenon, Phillips and Snodgrass refer to the general system theory and concept of cultural determinism. General system theory explains the transformative process of exchanges between the institution and their internal and external environment. It can help understand why some inputs from the external environment are integrated and others are not. Leaders in higher education are positioned to receive the internal and external environment inputs and lead change as they deem necessary. The concept of cultural determinism involves that the decisions made by leaders are more determined by the general cultural context of the situation rather than their own skills or values. In other words, leaders' decision in higher education depends on the operating environmental structures, cultures, and systems. Leaders must maintain a high level of awareness to the conditions of the external environment. At the same time, to successfully implement any change, they must also be aware of the internal environment of their institution. Okay, you know this person, Dolly Parton. In this complex environment, what does leadership mean? So Dolly Parton, the famous American country singer and songwriter, is thought, I don't know if it is true, it's thought to have said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. So if you look carefully the following slides, who's the leader? That's an easy one if you're a fan of American football. Yeah. Who's the leader? There are leaders in politics. Who's the leader, Fidel Castro or Donald Trump? There are leaders in business, Mohammed Yunus, the Nobel Prize, or Elon Musk. Artists can be leaders. Who's the leader? Facundo Cabral or Pablo Picasso. And of course, revolutions need leaders. Whoops. Sorry. Revolutions need the leaders, Mahatma Gandhi or Lenin. So, according to Fairholm, 4 threads may help to understand the evolution of the concept. The first 3 threads lean toward a reductionist view of leadership by aggregating data about leaders and situations. But the first one is called threat theories. Leadership depends upon personal qualities, personality, character, including charisma, and these are still popular. There are also behavior theories, and the focus here is on action, which means getting things done and relating well with people. There are also situational theories or contingency theories, which define leadership through what leaders do in specific situations that differ because of internal and external forces. And finally, there are value-based transformational theory, where leadership can only be understood by studying specific individuals in specific situations. So these approaches recognize the need to develop the individual, letting them flourish independently while maintaining a functioning organization that fulfills its goals through shared values. So let's go back to the definition of leadership. What is leadership? Probably Dolly Parton's aphorism is not sufficient to define leadership. Yule draws upon the many existing definitions and defines leadership as a process of influencing others to understand and agree about what needs to be done and how to do it, and the process of facilitating individual and collective efforts to accomplish shared objectives. So leadership is a process to influence people. This is what Argue wrote. So to influence people in the context of group work. As far as higher education is concerned, the group is the member of the university community who are in relation with programs, professors, but also staff, support staff, and students. Leaders never work alone. There are various styles ranging from those who impose their perspective to those who induce action. We will come to this later. However, the best leaders can promote adherence without undue pressure, and their orientation is clear. As far as higher education is concerned, general objectives refer to student success, which entails the institution development and its social contribution. There are various types of leadership, but in fact, it boils down to 3 types. The laissez-faire type is characterized by passive attitudes in relation with the followers. Laissez-faire leaders tend to give up their roles so that they provide very little support. They avoid decision-making, delegate responsibilities, and may look like not caring about their followers' needs. Although laissez-faire leadership may be appropriate in very particular situations, it is generally not efficient and can hardly be defined as leadership. So we're left with 2 others, transactional leaders. They focus on interaction with the followers. They ensure that their responsibilities, objectives, and tasks are clear. Transactional leaders' priority is to keep the organization running. Since they motivate people through contractual agreement, they tend to overuse extrinsic rewards such as incentive pays or promotions. They usually have a low risk tolerance. Transactional leaders assist their followers in determining what should be done to get the expected results in order to improve the quality of the service or reduce costs. The third type, which is most interesting, transformational leaders. They encourage followers to do more than what is needed and go beyond their immediate interests. This type of leadership is important to reinforce collective trust whenever a group is facing with difficulties. Transformational leaders can be agents of change, promote intrinsic motivation, ensure loyalty among the followers, introduce new vision of the future. There are 4 dimensions in transformational leadership. Transformational leaders are perceived as models. Transformational leaders propose attractive visions that motivate the followers. Transformational leaders trigger intellectual stimulation so that followers become more innovative and creative. And transformational leaders give personal attention. They offer support. Although there is not a typical profile of transformational leaders, there is some evidence that this kind of leadership is more efficient. Now, when analyzing leadership in any kind of organization, it's important to keep in mind that leadership is not the same as management. Leadership can come from those who hold formal managerial position, but it can come from various members of the organization as well. Bolden's team studied the relationship between management and leadership in the context of higher education, proposed a twofold concept that leads to self-leadership. Academic management is used in order to frame academic tasks and processes, such as allocation of workload, performance monitoring and assessment, and provision and distribution of resources. Whereas academic leadership, on the other hand, is conceived far more broadly than institutional roles and is most significant in terms of its impact upon academic values and identities. And through that, self-leadership develops in the individuals, either through the example they try to set to inspire their peers, or as a conscious decision to take on formal or informal leadership role. We also talk about vertical leadership and shared leadership. We know it is difficult for anyone to be an expert in all aspects of work. This is true in a wide variety of contexts, ranging from the research development lab to the executive suite to the higher education institution. In the recent years, within the framework of transformational leadership, a new approach emerged: shared leadership, which is also known as distributed leadership or sometimes collective leadership, among other terms. The idea is rather than concentrating power and authority in an individual leader, usually at the top of the organization, shared leadership involves multiple people influencing one another across varying levels and at different times. So, well, there are various definitions of shared leadership. Kazan and Alcom argue that they all share some common characteristic: a greater number of individuals in leadership than traditional models. Leaders and followers are seen as interchangeable. Leadership is not based on position or authority. Multiple perspectives and expertise are capitalized on for problem solving, innovation, and change. And collaboration and interactions across the organizations are typically emphasized. Shared leadership identified various individuals on campus with relevant expertise, while shared forms of leadership involve a broader conception of leadership and run counter to more traditional hierarchical styles. It is important to mention that shared leadership and vertical leadership are not mutually exclusive. In fact, specific types of vertical leaders are often necessary to foster shared leadership. So you don't really exclude each other. Sorry. So the shared leadership approach has been seen for various types of organization, but it fits very well with the principle that still underlie the functioning of today's university. Bolden team observed that there is a sense that leadership is actually distributed in some way within the university, and there is a widespread acceptance of the need for a leadership approach that builds on the strength of the organization. The notion of shared leadership seems well aligned with notions of collegiality and professional autonomy. This research team proposed a vision of academic leaders as citizens rather than employees, manager, or individuals. They observe that what is considered as academic leadership is not always demonstrated by people in formal managerial roles, but often come from influential colleagues within one's own academic discipline. That is the reason why leadership is also associated with mentoring and teamwork. From this perspective, academic leadership can be described as a process through which academic values and identities are constructed, promoted, and maintained. So academic values and identities are constructed in reference to dimension of the professorial activities. In most universities, professors' tasks include teaching, research, and service activities. The proportion and intensity of these responsibilities change according to each professor's academic profile, to the social demand, and of course, to the mission of each institution. We know that these tasks require different skills and do not necessarily correlate. Therefore, one can be an outstanding teacher, a poor researcher, or vice versa, a recognized researcher, but a terrible manager, and so on. But we also find professors who are excellent researchers, excellent teachers, excellent managers. There are also professors who are involved in the external community, others very involved in the university community. And the perfect professor is expected to be excellent in all these dimensions. Now, most professors are not prepared for administrative work, although understanding the academic environment is a great advantage. It does not mean that professors can always become formal leaders whenever they are asked to take management responsibilities in the institution. However, we see that many professors spend a significant percentage of their time on management activities. They are program directors, department chairs, vice deans, deans. Even at the senior management level, they become a vice president academic, or provost in the Anglo-Saxon world. And often the president is a former professor. Each of them must find his or her style as a leader and be a transformational leader. But despite the abundance of literature concerning formal leadership, fewer studies have been conducted with academics in non-formal leadership roles that focus on how they develop their leadership in teaching and research, which is the core business of the university. But there are many opportunities for professors to become a leader in the teaching and learning area. They can be, they could do this by leading teaching teams, by developing and implementing new study programs, or reviewing and improving study programs, by mentoring new professors on teaching, by stimulating and motivating graduate students through supervision, by participating in juries for graduate students, and the list goes on, is certainly not close. So there are various ways to be a leader in teaching. By the same token, there are many opportunities for professors to become a leader in the research area. That could be done by being recognized as a reference in the field, of course, but also by coaching new professors in grant application writing, publishing with young professors and students, integrating young professors in research team, hiring, training, and supervising research assistants, being creative in fundraising. And again, there are various ways that we can see leadership in research. Finally, as I mentioned before, the concept of academic leadership puts forward the role of professor as citizen. This means that professors play a social role. McFarlane talks about intellectual leadership and argues that it may be understood in terms of four principal orientation: knowledge producer, academic citizen, boundary transgressor, and public intellectual. So from this perspective, the participation of professors in public debates, in non-credit learning initiatives, in technology development, for example, is crucial. So the professor is primarily a citizen. To conclude, the perfect professor, which was the title of the presentation, is an academic leader. Academic leadership covers all the dimensions of professorial activities, research, teaching, for sure. Concept of academic leadership integrates the traditional values that are promoted by university for 1,000 years. And academic leadership is shared, and academic leadership is transformational. Thank you. Gracias. Merci beaucoup. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Professor Laurier. Can we wait maybe?
Try to stop
3
sharing
seconds?
my
Okay.
screen. Got it. Yes. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, just give us maybe 30 seconds to wait
Okay.
for the questions, okay?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your intervention, teacher Michelle. We have one question. 1 second. Okay. The first one. In terms of community leadership, what do you think is the most significant impact a professor can have on the community outside of the academic environment?
Well, that is a very good question. I'm not sure there is only one response to this question, because first it depends on the professor's profile. If the professor is a good researcher, probably the best way to be a community leader is to make sure that his or her research is known by taking into account the needs of the community in his or her projects, and making visible the research so that people know what this person is doing. If the person is more teacher, then that could be done in different ways, making sure that the programs are relevant and fill the needs of the community. And that could be done. There was a list of things that can be done to be a leader in teaching. Certainly, working with the team that runs the program is important, but it could be done also beyond the more classical models of teaching in the university, and working in other forms of education, such as continuous integration, lifelong learning initiative, this kind of thing. So it really depends on that. That's the beauty of the university system. Professors have different assets, and they can focus on this different dimension of their work, and they have this opportunity to flourish, focusing on what they are good. Of course, it doesn't mean that the professors could do research only or teaching only. There are requirements to, as I said, to be perfect in all dimensions, but to answer the question, what's the best way? It really depends on what the professor wants to focus on, and of course, what is the mission of the institution.
Thank you very much for your answer. We have other questions. Okay, what is your perspective on the role of educational technology, and how can a teacher effectively use to enhance and change the learning experience for students?
Okay, well, this is not directly related to the notion of leadership or the role of leaders, but I think it's an important question, particularly in the context we see now in this post-pandemic era, where the university as institution and as learning communities learned a lot. And what we see is really something that is a major shift. If you imagine that a few years ago, most of the university were providing programs on site. In my university, for example, that was almost 90% of the courses that were delivered on site, and suddenly it was 100% online. And of course, there was a huge demand and very high expectations for people who were good at using technology for teaching and learning. And we saw in this context, we saw the emergence of leaders who were innovative, very skillful with technology, and able to influence their peers, so that this transition to a more heavy use of technology for teaching could be done. And what we saw is are differences between the universities. Some have been able to cope with this situation better than others. And basically, because of the role of these leaders, we saw the emergence of leaders who were able to use technology in a very appropriate way, creative way, and be able also to have followers and be followed with colleagues who were not as good as they were in using this technology, didn't have this vision, but finally we participated in this movement that really changed the university. So yes, it's very important to have leaders in educational technology. That's probably the only way we can really implement technology, successfully implement technology. Thank you for the question.
Okay, Professor, we have other questions. Do you think it's necessary to include in our curriculum topics about leadership and lifelong learning? If yes, do you think professors are training for that target?
Sorry, I missed the last sentence.
If yes, do you think professors are training for that target?
Mm-hmm. They are. I think it's important to include in the professional development sessions of professors, and not only for the senior administrators. As I said, leadership in the university is more shared leadership, which is the responsibility not only for the senior managers, but also for professors when they are teaching or researching. In most universities, there is some training for pedagogical aspects or administrative aspect in the institution. But I think it would be also important to make the professor aware that they are also leaders, and to include some kind of training to leadership in the professional development training of the new professor, and even those that are in the institution for a long time. So yes, it's very important to develop leadership, and to make it not only assuming that all professors will become senior management and be leaders for administrative tasks, but also to have a broader vision of leadership that passes teaching and learning tasks.
Okay, Professor Michel Louvier, thank you very much for your presentation. We hope that you will be in other activities of PENSER Corporation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, the participants that did the questions. Okay, in this moment, to continue with the next unit, we call on the teacher, Rituraj Baralhaj. He's doctor on philosophy, PhD from Guwahati University, Assam, India, Master of Pharmacy with a specialization in pharmaceutics from Dibrugarh University, Assam, India, postgraduate diploma in drug regulatory affairs from Bioinformatics Institute of India, New Delhi, postgraduate diploma in human resource management from COGL Tezpur University, Assam, India, postgraduate advanced diploma in biomedical science and basic clinical research from Gautam University, Assam, India, Bachelor of Pharmacy from Dibrugarh University, Assam, India. Total teaching experience in years, 12 years. Total research experience in years, 3 years. Go ahead, Professor. Thank you very much for staying with us this night. Hi, Professor Rituraj.
Hi. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Can you see my presentation?
No, in this moment, I'm watching Google page.
Oh, wait.
The website.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yeah, only you have, you can put in
Slideshow, right?
Yeah.
Now?
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the persons who are associated with PENSER Corporation for giving me this opportunity to speak, to share my ideas with you all. So today, in the 4th day of International Summer School 2023, I have been invited to give a presentation on the topic, the professor as an educational leader. So here we are going to discuss different aspects. So starting from the current to the prospect, once again, I would like to introduce myself as Dr. Rituraj Bharadwaj, currently working as Associate Professor, cum Principal at Rahman Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, Assam, India. So I don't want to give any more brief introduction as because the the organizer have already briefed about me. So this is my educational credential as well as my research. So I would like to directly move to the topic which we are going to discuss today. So the thing is, first of all, the professor as an educational leader. What is the current scenario? We all across the globe, we know that in the realm of education, the professors are the mentors or the person who are the disseminators of knowledge, right? But being in a responsible position, it is the utmost importance for a professor to act as an educational leader. So beyond their expertise in a specific discipline, if I give my example, suppose I have done my master's in pharmacy. So I should not only confine my duty just to share my knowledge, whatever I have gained, rather it's my sole responsibility to shape the minds of my students, to inspire them for a lifelong learning, which will help my students to gain more in their life, as well as it will also help my institute. So let's see what we, the professor, we are doing in our day-to-day life, as I am going to discuss firstly about the current, then we are going to go and discuss regarding the prospect. So the first thing, currently what we are doing, we are fostering a learning culture. If we see the culture, the learning culture in any classroom, this professor, what they actually do, they always act as a catalyst for vibrant learning within the classroom, right? So, or in any academic institution, through our patience, our knowledge, our pedagogical expertise, what we can do or what we do in our day-to-day life, we used to inspire the students to become an active participant in their own education. Apart from that, what we used to do, we used to generally create or stimulate an environment, right, where our students develop the mode of critical thinking. They develop the mode of collaboration, and which we want to take beyond the boundaries of the textbook. We don't want to confine our students only to the knowledge of the textbook, as we all know that in this present era of internet, we know that the world has become a village, interconnected internet village, right? So if we confine our student to study whatever it is written in the text, then I don't think so such student can compete in the present world. So we need to motivate our student to ask questions, right? To ask questions, to explore more, and even to engage themselves in the transformative learning experiences. This is what we are doing in our day-to-day life as an educational leader. The next thing, what we used to do, is mentoring and guidance, right? As we have already spoken regarding the professor as an educational leader. So apart from providing knowledge from the text, from our experience, from the research, it is the sole responsibility of a professor to act as a mentor and to guide their students, right? Why it is needed? Because students during the course of his study sometimes may lose the hope to complete the course, or sometimes they may be distracted from their course materials. So the professor not only need to provide the subject knowledge, apart from that, he should give guidance. He should support his students and encourage the students for facing any academic challenges during his career, even helping the student to choose his career. And also, he should promote the personal growth in the life of the students, right? So thus the professor should have a meaningful relationship with their student, so that the student foster a sense of belongingness, a sense of motivation, a sense of resilience. Thus this professor, we as an education leader, we are doing or we should do, right? The next thing, it is the curriculum innovation and pedagogical excellence. So being an educational leader, it is the responsibility of a professor to always stand in forefront for curriculum innovations. We used to always remain in the forefront and even in the pedagogical advancement. So as a professor, we should engage ourselves, or we engage ourselves in designing the curriculum as per the need of the society or as per the need of the market, right? Which will include the technological advancement and the emerging fields. Earlier, if I take the example of pharmacy, earlier, we have generally the general sense of medicines, like which are available like tablet, capsules, pills, syrup, etc. But with the due course of time, with the advancement of technologies, new drug delivery aspects are emerging, newer form of drug delivery are coming to the market. Accordingly, if we want to make our student to learn as per the need of the society, then in this regard, we, the professor as an education leader, the responsibility is bestowed in our shoulders to make the curriculum accordingly. So the professor actually, with their expertise, they develop innovative teaching method. They incorporate technology enhanced learning, right? Sometimes softwares are there. This professor can use different softwares to teach, to simulate a general condition, right? And they create an experimental learning opportunity. Because nowadays in India, we are not allowed to use the animals for drug testing anymore in any bachelor courses. That is Bachelor of Pharmacy. Although in Master of Pharmacy and in PhD, it is allowed, but up to some level. So if I want my student to learn regarding the efficacy of any drug in an animal or in a human, in such cases, what we used to do, we used to procure the software which actually mimic, which simulate the same condition. So these are the technology advancement. So this technology advancement can be used by a professor to make their student learn. Thus, the commitment to the pedagogical excellence, it drives the continuous improvement in teaching practices and ensuring that the education remains relevant and impactful in the life of students. The next thing, it is research and knowledge creations. So, professor being an educational leader, they should not only act as a consumer of knowledge or education, rather they should be the creator. They should be the creator of knowledge and education. How? Their research and scholarly contribution. It actually enriched the educational landscape by advancing the knowledge in their respective field. So, if a professor, he just confine himself to the textbook knowledge and he just disseminate this knowledge to the students, then with the rapid pace of time, the student will simultaneously lose his hope on the knowledge, whatever he has gained from that particular professor, or he will lose the interest in that particular theory class or session, knowledge session. Why? Because as we know, by virtue of the internet, nowadays everyone is accessible to knowledge, right? So whatever we gain from the internet, similarly, a student can also gain. So until and unless we make ourselves engaged with the research, no new thing can be shared with the students, because the reason is that because by doing research with the pace of time, we come to know, we come to develop, we used to explore many new things which may not be available in the internet. And this knowledge sharing with the students make them curious to know more, make them curious to earn more, to learn more, right? So through the research, these professors, they brings the latest discoveries, perspective, and also evidence-based practices into the classroom. Thus, they foster an environment where the intellect, curiosity, and academic rigor, it occurs among the students. Thus, the professor, they inspire the students to become a lifelong learner, which is the motive of any professor being an educational leader. The next thing is collaboration and community engagement. So see, as I have already told you regarding the professor as acting as the educational leader, so we should, the professor, we should extend our impact beyond the boundaries of the classroom. We should not keep ourselves engaged within the classroom or within the four walls of the classroom, because the world these days, they have become an internet village, right? So we should try to make collaboration. We should try to make collaboration that may be either interstate, intra-country, or international, right? And we should try to engage with the communities, our society, or society from other country. Because if we do so, this will encourage our student to engage in meaningful service. And thus, our student or a students can bridge or make a bridge between whatever he has learned in the theory with that of the practical aspect, right? Thus, the professor, they actively participate in the interdisciplinary collaboration, forging the partnership with industry. For us, as we are from a pharmacy background, for us, it means a lot to get collaborated with any industry. We used to term it as a industry academia collaboration, because if I give the example of pharmacy, because many industries are there where the scope of research and development is quite not feasible, as we have high-end laboratories where the research can be done. If we develop something in our lab, that can be shared with any industry for scaling up. And finally, this product can reach the market, the society, for an impactful result. Thus, participating or collaborating with industry, with community, with organization and other institution is the prime motto. It should be the prime motto of any professor who is acting as an educational leader. Thus, by facilitating the connection between academia and broader community, right? We, the professor, we contribute to the development of sociologically responsible citizen, and which is the need of the hour, and to address the student, or to make our student to address the real world challenges. The next one, it is the institutional leadership and governance. So as a leader, a professor, they used to play a crucial role in the institutional leadership. How? Actually, see, if I show you in this diagram, you see the professor, they are making the connections among their fellow mates. This may be a professor, this may be an associate professor, these are the assistant professor, they may be the lecturers. As I'm showing you just the bridge, so the professor, they need to participate in faculty communities. They need to develop themselves to make participation in the curriculum development board, so that they can develop the curriculum as per the need of the society or as per the job market, right? And other decision bodies within the institution, that may be either the board of directors, etc. So the expertise of the professor and their understanding of the educational policy, actually they contribute to shaping the institutional policies. These institutional policies, actually they helps to shape the institution education planning, right? Thus, if a professor, they get engaged with such bodies, they can contribute in preparing institutional policies. They can help in forming strategic planning for the future and resources allocations. Thus, the professor, by their expertise, they bring a unique perspective to discussion on academic standards. They help the student to develop support services, or they themselves, they act as a support services to the students, and they overall, they finally direct the institutions. Thus, the leadership in the educational institute governance ensure that the institution remain focused on its mission and vision. I repeat once again, the leadership quality of the professor in any education governance, it ensures the institution, it will always remain focused in its mission and vision to excel in all fields. The next is the influence on educational policies and reforms. So the professor as an educational leader, what he do? The professor have the potential to shape the educational policies. I would like to introduce that in India, here in 2020, we have developed a new education policy, and now it is being implemented slowly and slowly. And I would like to add here that during the formation of this policy, during the reformation of this new education policy, NEP 2020, many professors have devoted their time, their education, their expertise. Thus, the professor, they have the potential to shape the educational policies, and they contribute to the educational reforms at a broader level, right? The expertise or the research finding of a professor, they provide valuable knowledge into the effective educational practices, instructional methods, and assessment of strategies. Thus, the professors, they engage in discussion with the policymakers of the institute, of the state, of the nation, the educational organization. They always remain in discussion, engage in discussion with the educational organization or the stakeholder to inform the policy decisions, right? that positively impact the quality of the education that is imparted to the students, right? They contribute to the development of evidence-based policies that provide or promote equitable access to the education for all the students, student success and educational innovations. Through their involvement in the policy dialogue, they advocate, what they advocate? For reforms that addresses the systemic issues and enhance the overall quality of the education in a nation. Now, let's move towards the future. So, with the professor as a leader, many responsibilities are bestowed in our shoulders to shape our future. So, what we can do in the future, or what a professor as an educational leader will do in the future, let's discuss them. First of all, emphasis on technology. So we all know that during the time of COVID, the pandemic era, if I go back to 2020, 21, 22, right? During that time, no one has ever, from our generation, no one have ever dreamed to be in such conditions that where we need to give knowledge, we need to impart knowledge to our students of the classroom. Because schools, institutes, college, institution, universities, everything are closed, right? So during that time, what we have adopted? We have adopted the online mode of teaching, where right now I am also imparting something, a small amount of knowledge, whatever I have gained. So this online activities, online education. So emphasis on technologies. At that time, we have put emphasis. So now you see the professor as an education leader, what will he need to do in the future? He will need to proficient in utilizing the technologies for the teaching and learning. So what are the technologies? He should incorporate technologies like digital tools, softwares, right? Programs, right? Online platforms. What we are doing right now, it's the Zoom. We have Google Meet. We have other Microsoft Team, right? These are the different platforms. These are the online platforms he needs to use, and emerging technologies in their instructional teaching methods, right? So this could include, what he can include? He can include virtual reality, what we are doing right now, augmented reality, and the foremost, most important thing, it is the use of artificial intelligence, right? Machine learning, and their innovative tools that enhance the learning experience among the students. Next is blended learning models. So the professor, being an educational leader, he should not confine himself to the traditional face-to-face learning in the classroom, because education knowledge has no limit. If we don't find that the class allotted to him is not available or is not enough to disseminate, to impart the knowledge, he can take the class in online modules, right? Thus, he should, or a professor should, combine the face-to-face instruction, classroom knowledge, along with online learning mode also. So the professor will need to be skilled. Our future professors, they need to be skilled enough in designing and facilitating what? The blended learning experience of traditional face-to-face classroom learning as well as online learning, by integrating both the physical and virtual component to create an interactive educational environments with the students. The next thing, it is personalized adaptive learning. See, being a professor, being an educational leader, whenever we enter any class, right, or we do a seminar, we used to assess, we used to evaluate. We know that if suppose in my class there are 16 numbers of students, I know that all my 16 numbers of students are not equal intellectually. Some are quite slow learners, some are fast learners. So the intellectual capacity of a student is not equal in all aspects. Thus, when a professor he takes the classes in the classroom, he should assess all these things. So this is known as the personalized. You see, with the advancement of technologies like online, personalized and adaptive learning approaches have become more prevalent these days. We have a crucial role to play. What we need to do? We have a crucial role to play in leveraging the data and analytics to tailor the instruction to individual students' need. Does a professor need to analyze the students' performance data to provide targeted feedback and to adjust the instructional strategies accordingly to the need of the hour? Next is lifelong learning and professional development. So being a professor, I will always advocate all the professors whom I know to become a lifelong learner, because knowledge has no limit. Every day we used to learn something from theories, from our day-to-day life, from the practical aspect. So the future of education, it will likely to place a greater emphasis on lifelong learning in the due course of time. After 15 years, if we all meet together, then in this 15 years, whatever we have gained, we can share in a broader prospect, right? So it's a lifelong learning and a continuous professional development. So a professor always needs to remain updated with the latest research. If somebody, being a professor from a pharmacy background, if somebody asks me, do you know what is nanoparticle? If I reply, no, I don't know. If somebody asks me, do you know what is liposome? If I say, no, I have never heard. I have just heard tablet, pills and capsule. The student will definitely throw me out from their classes, right? Okay, jokes apart. So the professor, they need to remain updated with the latest research, pedagogical techniques, and the techniques they need to learn to update their teaching abilities, right? As a professor, we may engage ourselves. You all may engage yourselves in ongoing training. Whatever we are doing right now, it's an ongoing training, right? To attend the conferences at national, international levels, to participate in online communities talk, and to collaborate with the colleagues from international boundaries to foster their growth as an educational leader. Next, mentorship and guidance. So being a leader, the professor, it's the utmost duty of the professor. In the present also we are doing, in the future also we need to do it, because our duty not only remain confined to provide the knowledge to the students. We should also serve as a mentors, and we need to guide our students, offer them academic and career guidance. The professor, they play a crucial role actually in the student's life. They help the students to develop the critical thinking skills, which is utmost importance in today's world. I repeat, the professors, they help the students to develop the critical thinking skills, right? They inculcate the problem-solving abilities, and as well as they help the professional competency. They develop the professional competency within the students. Thus, a professor should act as a mentor as well as a guide. He should also support their students in the future for their research projects, for their internship, for their experimental learning opportunities. Next, research and innovations. Thus, as we have already spoken about, the professor being an educational leader, he should be always remain in forefront of research and innovation within their respective field. It is not like that I will learn whatever it is written in the textbook or whatever it is available in the internet. From my side, I'll stop doing research. No, it should not be like that. I need to explore knowledge every day. I need to explore different diverse area every day to gain more, to earn more knowledge, right? So they need to continue to contribute. The professor need to continue to contribute to the advancement of knowledge. How they are going to contribute? By publishing the paper, the research paper, right? By collaborating with the professor and the colleagues from the worldwide. Thus, their expertise, the expertise of the professor and the research endeavors will shape the curriculum, for the students. It will inform the teaching practices. It will inspire the students to pursue the scholarly pursuits. The next thing, it is the global collaboration. That is internet village, right? As I have already spoken, I think many a times. So with the virtue of internet, today the world has become a village, interconnected internet village, right? So it is very much connected in today's world. So in the future, a professor will need to engage more collaboration, to do more collaboration and cross-cultural exchanges with the professor from a different geographical boundaries. If I am from India, I need to collaborate with someone who is working in California, with someone who is working in Netherlands, with someone who is working in Ireland, with someone who is working in Saudi Arabia, many countries. Because during the course of our collaboration, we will not only exchange our knowledge, we will exchange our cultural heritage also, right? Thus, they should collaborate with the colleagues from different countries. They should do joint project. We should do joint projects. As the professor should do joint project, and they should facilitate the global learning experiences to the students also by using student exchange programs, teachers or professors exchange program. If my students, they able to learn from a professor who is from US, definitely the level of knowledge, the level of expertise, the cultural heritage, everything will be different. And hopefully he will learn whatever students from the US is learning. So this global collaboration, what it will do, it will foster a broader understanding of the diverse perspective. It will prepare the student to thrive in a globalized society, to thrive in a globalized job market. Next is interdisciplinary approaches. So nowadays, the boundaries, they are getting blurred. Earlier, we have confined boundaries between arts, science, commerce, physics, architectures, engineering, medical, law, right? But nowadays, with the pace of advancement in the technology, with the advancement of the knowledge, these boundaries, they are getting blurred. Now, the professor, they used to take, or they need to take in the future also, some interdisciplinary approaches in their teaching and research. They may collaborate with a colleague from a different field. Suppose I'm a professor from the pharmacy background, I may collaborate with a professor from biology background, with a professor from physics background, with a professor from mathematics background, or any arts streams to develop, or humanities stream to develop multidisciplinary courses. So these things are already there in our new education policy 2020 that has been given by the Indian government. Nowadays, in our policy, a student can adopt pharmacy. Along with that, he can also learn economics, or he can learn fine arts. So this will help to develop multidisciplinary courses in the future. And these projects, multidisciplinary projects, it will address the real world problem. If we blend everything, if we blend the disciplines, we can make students to face the real world problem, to find the real world solutions. Thus, this interdisciplinary focus will encourage the students to think critically, right? To make connection between the disciplines. A pharmacy person now will be able to make connection with a person studying humanities, or a person studying economics, or a person studying mathematics, right? And definitely this sort of collaboration will help both of them. It will be a symbiotic relationship, right? And this will help them to tackle the challenges in a holistic perspective. The next thing, it is the ethical and responsible education. So we all are in an era of rapid technology development, rapid technology advancement, and in ethical dilemmas. Thus, being a professor, it is our sole and prime duty in fostering ethical awareness and responsible decision making among the students. We should make our students to learn to take decision. What is wrong, what is right, what will benefit him, what will benefit the society, and how he will imply his decision, right? This is the sole duty, or it will be a sole duty for a professor. They will help the students to incorporate discussion on ethics, social responsibility. Being a student, the student have some social responsibility, sustainability, and inclusivity into the curriculum, right? This, the professor will encourage the student to consider the broader societal impact of their work. If I teach my students to make a drug of low cost for cancer, if he works accordingly, if one day in the future, if he makes such drug, it will be a boon to the society. It will be a boon to the mankind. So being an educational leader, I need to inspire my students in making decision for the benefit of society, and making decision in an ethical way, right? To make my student a responsible global citizen. Next is flexible learning pathway. See, the future of witness means education. Our future, the future of education, it may witness an increased emphasis on flexible learning. What? To cater a diverse number of students, as I have already told you. In the policy, new education policy, whichever has introduced in India, 2020, a student can leave the course. Means suppose I have taken admission in a graduation course. If I leave the course after 1 year, if the graduation course is of 4 years, if I leave the course after 1 year, I will get a certificate that I have done 1 year certificate course. If I leave the course after 2 years, I will get a diploma of that particular course. If I leave it after 3 years, I will get the degree. And if I leave it after 4 years, then devote 1 year. So if a student, if he leave the course after 1 year and he has earned a certificate, if he come back after 3 years, then he may join again. Right? So with this, we will have students of diverse nature, different age. Thus, the professor need to design adaptable curriculum to provide options for learning styles that support non-traditional learners. The professors should involve in offering micro-credential, competency-based assessment, and to accommodate the needs of the working professional. If a working professional become a student, how he will represent as a student and what the professor will make him learn, as because he is a working professional. To the adult learners, those who have given gap, those who have gap in their careers, if they want to learn again in the college and schools, in the institution, how the professor will adopt changes in him to cater knowledge to these students, right? Next is community engagement and partnership. So the professor need to come out from his classroom, from the traditional classroom, and he should engage himself with the local communities, with the business and organization to create partnership, right? The professor can collaborate on service learning projects, internships, community-based research initiative to earn something, to do something for the prospect of the community, for the development of a healthy nation. By integrating the world experiences, real world experiences, the professor can make or can develop curriculum. The professor will help their student to develop practical skills. When the professor interact with the community, he will gain practical knowledge. If he allows his student to interact with the community, they will also gain practical knowledge. And this will foster civic engagement within the students to make them responsible society, to make them societally responsible, to address the community needs. What's the community want from a professor? What's the community is expecting from his future generation who are right now working or who are right now pursuing the education and acting as the student, what the community wants. The next thing is the cultivating future skills. So with the evolving job market, the professor in the future will need to focus on cultivating future ready skills among the students. He needs to make their students equipped to it, knowledges as per the needs of the job market. If the market is wanting, means if the market wants a student or a person with knowledge and with high skill of using softwares and all, the professor need to mold his student accordingly, right? The professor will emphasize on critical thinking in the future, on the creativity, on collaboration, communication, and adaptability within the students, right? He will design the learning experiences that promote the problem solving, that promote problem solving attitude in the students, culturing the minds for innovation of culturing the minds of the students for innovation, for entrepreneurship, and preparing the students to thrive in rapidly changing workforce as per the global market. Inclusive education. As the professor always remain in the forefront of promoting inclusivity and diversity within the educational institute, thus they need to create an inclusive environment, right, with the diverse backgrounds. I, as a professor, may get students who may be physically not able to attend the class. I need to cater knowledge to such students. I need to cater knowledge to the slow learners. Being a professor, I need to cater knowledge to all the students of whatever background they are. It's the sole prime duty of a professor as an education leader, and this thing a professor need to do in the future. These professors, they will incorporate diverse voices, perspective into the curriculum. They will address the implicit biases. They will ensure equitable access to education, equal education for all. Equal education for all, I repeat, equal educational opportunity, equal education for all the students, irrespective of their any background. Next, advocacy for educational reform. As we know that being an educational leader, we always advocate for educational reform. We always devote ourselves for policy making, educational policy making, to contribute the policy discussion. Thus, in the future also, the professor will engage in conversation about the educational equity, as I have already discussed, regarding the funding, from where it will come, external funded agency or from the government, and access to quality education. They always need to advocate all these things. So they will use their expertise, the professor will use their expertise to influence the educational policy, and they will always contribute to the development of such an education system which will meet the demand from a diverse learner from different field or different aspect or different nation. So with this, I would like to end up. I have tried my best to share something, whatever I have learned, a small amount of knowledge. Once again, I extend my gratitude to PENSER Corporation for giving me this opportunity to interact with the people, the professors at international level. If you want to give any feedback, you can mail me at drriturajbharadwaj@gmail.com. I am always available in my email. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the interesting intervention. In this moment, we wait the questions, maybe 30 seconds, and the people can write the questions, okay?
Sure.
Okay, I have a question. The first one. You talk about the impact beyond the boundaries of their classroom. In that sense, what is your advice for teaching and evaluating in extra class environments? Do you think it could be a good practice?
Madam, can you please repeat the question?
Okay. You talk about the impact beyond the boundaries of their classroom, okay?
Okay,
In
yeah,
that
boundaries of the
sense-
classroom. Yeah.
Okay, in that sense, what is your advice for teaching and evaluating in extra class environments? Do you think
Yeah.
it will be a good practice?
Definitely, it will be a good practice. See, as I have already spoken, a student, whenever we used to take the classes in the classroom, a students may not learn everything because the classroom classes, the classes that hours are confined. That may be 30 minutes, that may be 45 minutes, that may be 1 hour. We have to learn, we have to share the knowledge to the students in a within a confined span of time. And as I have already discussed, that all our students, they don't have the equal intellect. Some are fast learners, some are slow learners. So if a professor, being a responsible leader, if he adopt online learning, if I suppose today I have taken the class in my institute and the same thing I have discussed in an online mode, then definitely in the online mode, I will not have a confined span of time. The student will get more time to interact with me, to clear their doubts, and definitely it will help the students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And other, okay? Considering the future of education, how do you think the role of the professor as an educational leader will evolve And what skills and knowledge will be needed to meet new challenges?
Yeah, see. So being a professional, being the professor, being an educational leader, everything is bestowed on their soldiers. Why? Because the society, the institute, the students, they look towards a professor that he can give something best to its students, to the society, to the nation, to the institutes. The professor with the technological advancement in our current world, the professor with the technological advancement need to adapt the newer technologies to take the classes, to make them learn, to share the knowledge. They need to adapt themselves according to the pace of technology, the pace of time. With this, the professor can attain knowledge and he can give the proper knowledge to the society, to the students, to everyone. As an educational leader, he can reform policy. He can reform educational policy as per the need of the hour. As today, although we all are from different international boundaries, but we all are connected. So making educational policy which will blend the culture, which will blend the education. It may be done only if a professor is equipped with modern technological advancement. Thus, as an educational leader, a professor needs to adapt himself with the pace of advancement of technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer. We have 2 question marks, okay?
Okay.
Third, what are the most important skills professors have to develop in order to teach long life learning?
Okay, skills. Regarding the skills, see, practically speaking, apart from the theoretical thing, whatever we have discussed, skills, first of all, a professor need to be a regular researcher. He should be a regular researcher. He should always try to find new things, not only from the sources which are available in the internet. He can go through the offline sources. He can see, he can learn from the society, from his day-to-day life. He should be always a continuous learner, a lifelong learner. If he remains such that, then definitely he will be more able to impart knowledges as per the need of the students. First thing. Next thing, a professor should be humble enough. It is not like that all the students who are sitting in my class, they all are intellectually equal. Some may be slow learners, some may be fast learners. I should give importance to all my students. If I don't give importance to the slow learners, then as an educational leader, my role is zero. It is not fruitful to the society. I should adopt myself. I should know how to use a software relevant to my field. I should know how to do live streaming. I should know how to run any software, how to do live streaming, how to make my student technologically equipped. These are the roles a professor should have. And lastly, he should inculcate ethical learning or ethical consideration in the students. He should make the students to learn to make ethical decisions for the benefit of the society, to make good human being. Because as a professor, we are just like carpenters. We get a piece of wood blocks that the student, we need to shape it, we need to polish it, we need to gift it to the society, to the nation, to build a healthy nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Have many questions. That's a good intervention. Give me a minute, please. Okay. The interdisciplinary approach must be applied around all the educational stakeholders, professors, students, curricula, etc. What do you think are the most relevant challenges to achieve a real interdisciplinary application in educational processes?
Okay, regarding the challenges, fine. So I'll discuss real world problem. First of all, as I already told you, confined classrooms. Confined classroom, confined span of time. You may get 45 minutes, you may get 1 hour to complete a particular topic. This 1 hour can be very much for a fast learner, but it may be very less for a slow learner. This confined classroom, we should come beyond this confined classroom, confined textbook, confined boundaries of the classroom. We should cultivate our mind in such a way that we should be always available to our students. The first challenge is the confinedness of the classroom. The next one, as being a professor, we all are not of equal age. I might be in a young stage, somebody is going to get retired in next 2 to 3 years. So technology, I can easily get adopted to any new technology because I can learn, I can devote time. But a professor who is going to get retired in next 2 years, that time may not be more, or that time cannot be utilized for learning new things. This harmony, this change, actually, the change in the ages to adopt the technologies, it is the biggest challenge. It is the biggest challenge. Confined classroom, how to adopt the change means in the technologies. And lastly, the biggest challenge is what I see, the professors nowadays, they have stopped doing research. They have stopped doing research. They should continue their research. They should continue their research because to make the student curious, to make the things more interesting, a professor need to continue his research. And whatever he has gained from the research, he should always try to share this knowledge with the students to make them curious, to learn more, to earn more from the professor. Thank you.
Okay, Professor, that's all the questions. We want to say you thank you very much for your intervention.
Most welcome.
Hope there will be other activities of PENSER of other opportunities. Okay. Thank you very much.
Most welcome.
Okay, in this moment, we invite the Professor Magdalena de la Volpe. Ella es profesora asociada de Economía y Gestión de las Empresas en la Universidad de Salerno, Italia. Es académico internacional para la acreditación de programas e instituciones universitarias del CNA en Colombia. Es profesora visitante permanente en la Universidad Católica de Colombia, en Bogotá y en la Universidad Católica de Pereira. Fue delegada del rector para relaciones con empresas en la Universidad Sor Orsola Benincasa de Nápoles y persona de contacto para el Observatorio CRUI Universidad Empresa. Sus publicaciones atañen a la cooperación entre universidad, empresas y sociedad civil, brecha digital, desarrollo de una mentalidad empresarial, creatividad e innovación, design thinking, big data. Adelante, profesora Magdalena.
En nuestro encuentro yo quisiera focalizar la atención sobre la importancia de la dimensión humana en la perspectiva del design thinking, que es una perspectiva que camina hacia la innovación y está centrada en el ser humano. Mientras que los datos, Big Data, inteligencia artificial, Small Data, sensores, robóticas, Internet of Things, realidades virtuales o aumentadas, hacen que nos vivimos de manera más fácil, porque son tecnologías que ayudan nuestra vida y acrecen la productividad en las empresas, pero tenemos la necesidad y la urgencia de prestar atención a la mejora de la vida social, ya que toda la tecnología impacta fuertemente a las personas y así nacen visiones como la industria 5.0 o la sociedad 5.0 que están en el mismo camino muy paralelo a el del design thinking. Así hoy, diseñar estrategias innovadoras originales para recopilar los desafíos de la transformación digital significa reconocer la centralidad del hombre en la sociedad como en los procesos productivos. Y el design thinking encaja bien con las corrientes de pensamiento más innovadoras que acompañan la evolución del pensamiento estratégico. El design thinking está en equilibrio entre datos, rigor e intuición y devuelve al hombre la capacidad de creatividad, esto es un punto importante, que no puede confiarse a las máquinas, así como la libertad de elegir lo que es importante que la máquina haga. Así, la máquina está al servicio del diseño de la elección del hombre. Está enfocado como estrategia en las personas, privilegiando la empatía, la creatividad, el trabajo en equipo, el prototipado y la interdisciplinariedad. ¿Cómo ayuda cada factor en este proceso? La empatía permite acercarse a los usuarios como personas concretas, con problemas reales. La creatividad permite desarrollar ideas nuevas. El trabajo en grupo y la interdisciplinariedad permiten tener una visión abierta. Testear, prototipar es necesario para evaluar ideas, mejorarlas de manera continua. Y el design thinking se encuentra cruza tres factores diferentes importantes para las empresas, que son la factibilidad, la sostenibilidad y la deseabilidad. La factibilidad depende de factores técnicos. La sostenibilidad económica evalúa la viabilidad financiera y finalmente la deseabilidad se centra en las personas y se refiere a los factores humanos mediante los cuales se resuelvan problemas reales, regalando valor, creando valor, que es otro punto interesante, central para las empresas. Acá en las figuras podemos visionar las etapas del design thinking. Y el design thinking es un diseño centrado en las personas y la empatía es su primer punto. Su enfoque en la empatía. ¿Por qué? Porque permite una lógica y emoción, la empatía, que facilita el diseño y las soluciones de una manera más holística y efectiva. Efectivamente, gracias a la empatía es posible conocer a los consumidores así como ellos son, con problemas reales y como personas reales. Sería, yo me pongo en lugar de mi consumidor, de mi cliente, para realmente comprender quién es, qué piensa, qué siente, qué escucha, cómo se comporta durante todo el día, qué elige hacer, por ejemplo. ¿Y qué más? El design thinking está centrado en la observación, entendida como una manera de comprender las necesidades humanas. Al mismo tiempo es visualización, porque tiene un enfoque diferente de la información. En la visualización ya yo estoy muy cerca a la imaginación. Es experimentación y aprendizaje cuando pretende alcanzar los objetivos planteados, afrontando, aprendiendo, practicando, investigando para explorar la realidad. Y es prototipado porque evalúa ideas para mejorarlas. Utiliza diferentes mentalidades: empatía, optimismo, iteración, confianza creativa, placer, abrazar la ambigüedad, aprender de los errores, colaborar. Vamos a ver estos elementos uno cada uno. La empatía permite conectarse con las personas para generar nuevas ideas que surgen de ver el mundo a través de sus ojos y no de mis ojos. La iteración es exploración, brinda la oportunidad de aprender de los errores, volver a intentar, seguir la intuición hasta llegar a la solución del problema. Y la iteración es un camino de prueba y errores que siempre da miedo en la empresa. La confianza creativa aprovecha los instintos de uno para generar soluciones. Se trata de cómo se aborda el mundo y sus desafíos. Tiene raíces en el optimismo, es decir, en la conciencia positiva de encontrar una solución al problema. Hacer significa realizar materialmente una idea a través de la construcción de un prototipo que permite compartir la idea con los otros y recibir sus retroalimentaciones. El desafío del design thinking es captar un problema para el cual no se conoce la respuesta. Es una ambigüedad incómoda, pero abrazar la ambigüedad permite llegar a soluciones nuevas, creativas, permite explorar espacios inesperados, es decir, permite caminar donde los otros no caminan, y así permite encontrar la innovación finalmente. La colaboración, el trabajo en grupo representan un punto de confluencia de diferentes perspectivas, reuniendo habilidades y competencias diferentes para resolver un problema planteado. La manera de pensar el design thinking se encuentra muy bien con la innovación. ¿Por qué? Porque adopta nuevas perspectivas, utiliza diferentes disciplinas, está atento al intercambio de conocimientos, toma en consideración una multiplicidad de ideas, utiliza una lógica abductiva, activando al mismo tiempo el pensamiento lógico tan riguroso y el pensamiento intuitivo tan creativo, en la búsqueda de un equilibrio, y allá se coloca el design thinking, en el miedo de las dos polaridades opuestas, como un punto de balance, de equilibrio. Se erige como fuente de reconfiguración de recursos, generando diferenciación entre las empresas, es decir, impactando en su capacidad competitiva y aprovechando nuevas oportunidades. En Italia hay estudios del Politécnico de Milán muy avanzados sobre el design thinking, donde vienen identificados sus modelos emergentes, que son 4. Creative Problem Solving, Sprint Execution, Confianza Creativa e Innovation of Meaning. Ahora vamos a verlos uno por uno. El primero, Creative Problem Solving, es la resolución de problemas complejos utilizando el pensamiento analítico e intuitivo. Ambos. Las empresas innovan si comprenden las necesidades de los consumidores y presentan ideas nuevas para resolver los problemas identificados. Así, cuantas más ideas se generen, más fácil será identificar nuevas oportunidades. El objetivo no es tener una única idea correcta y elegirla, pero crear tantas y diferentes posibilidades, observando cómo los usuarios reaccionan utilizando los productos y llegando a individuar la solución original, aprovechando de la empatía. Sprint Execution es un modelo dinámico, el segundo, caracterizado por la creación rápida de prototipos y un cuidadoso tiempo de comercialización. Una vez lanzado al mercado, el producto o servicio se mejora según la reacción del consumidor. Por tanto, se trata de suministrar y testear productos, aprendiendo poco a poco y mejorando la solución. Su caracterización de este modelo es la contribución del usuario que participa en la fase de testeo. Estos dos modelos son los más utilizados por las empresas, pero tenemos también la confianza creativa y vamos a explicar qué es. Es nutrir mentalidades y moldear la cultura organizacional para enfrentar los cambios que requiere el mundo de los negocios con confianza. Obviamente, el enfoque está en las personas. Se trata de involucrar a las personas para aumentar su confianza en los procesos creativos e innovadores, desencadenando comportamientos proactivos para afrontar los retos de la innovación. Y se caracteriza por la coplanificación y el co-desarrollo. Está muy enfocada en la parte organizacional de la empresa. Finalmente, Innovation of Meaning es el enfoque que ayuda a crear valor tanto para la empresa que para el consumidor final. Se trata de imaginar nuevas direcciones para proponer experiencias ricas en significado con el objetivo de crear una nueva visión. El objetivo es encontrar una nueva razón por la cual las personas utilizan un producto o servicio, es decir, crear nuevo valor. Mientras que el design thinking falta bastante de un rigor como disciplina, porque tiene que investigar y sistematizar su visión a nivel científico y académico, por otro lado tiene una gran variedad de herramientas y métodos que utiliza en la práctica. Acá vamos a ver en la tabla que donde están en una lista los utilizados más frecuentemente. Son 8 y son los métodos etnográficos, es decir, la observación, la inmersión, notas de diario. Después tenemos personas, el mapa de experiencia del cliente, la lluvia de ideas, el mapa mental, la visualización, que es un elemento muy importante, testear, prototipar y experimentar. Vamos a ver algunos case studies donde se aplicó con éxito el design thinking. Vamos a ver puntos estratégicos de empresas muy conocidas como Airbnb, después Uber Eats y Apple. Acá tenemos Airbnb, que por supuesto todos conocimos, inicialmente la empresa tenía muchas dificultades, estaba al borde de la bancarrota, porque no se dio cuenta que tenía fotos publicadas de mala calidad. Afortunadamente, en su equipo, uno de los fundadores era experto de design thinking y así propuso una experimentación, una idea nueva, no sustentada en datos. Esto es el punto importante. Él propuso de intentar hacer una estadía en una casa de Nueva York, sacar unas fotos bonitas y publicarlas. En una semana Airbnb estaba duplicando sus ganancias, porque el punto principal fue conocer a los clientes, empatizar con ellos para encontrar una solución exitosa. Y así Airbnb explotó a nivel de éxito. Apple, que todos conocimos, está muy nota para su pensar fuera de la caja. Design thinking e innovación van de la mano en Apple. Una de las big techs capaz de innovaciones radicales en sus estrategias de marketing, que nunca son improvisadas, instintivas, pero siempre están basadas en la comprensión de los usuarios y en la manera de cómo los usuarios utilizan los dispositivos informáticos. El modo Apple utiliza estos principios: design thinking, desarrollo y ejecución de estrategias, coraje para la experimentación con formas comerciales audaces. La simplicidad en el diseño y el uso fue un primer paso para que la gente amara esta computadora, pero la simplicidad tiene que ser construida. La simplicidad significa quitar características en lugar de añadirlas, pero sin sacrificar la funcionalidad. Así, Apple diseña productos emocionantes, crea al mismo tiempo una cartera de productos con amplia reutilización dentro de las familias de productos. Y esta es una gran idea, porque los diseños son más confiables y dan como resultado productos que requieren menos mantenimiento y servicio. Además, la similitud de las interfaces de usuario ofrecen menos barreras para capacitar a los clientes menos experimentados. Así yo sé que cuando aprendo a utilizar mi computadora Apple con el mismo razonamiento, imaginación, instinto, puedo utilizar otros, el celular, el iPad, con los mismos elementos aprendidos. Uber Eats. Acá siempre tenemos en su enfoque empatía, innovación, capacidad de abordar desafíos logísticos complejos. Uber Eats está en 80 ciudades de todo el mundo, conecta a los clientes con la entrega rápida de Uber. Las personas eligen entre diferentes opciones sobre cómo y qué comer. Los restaurantes preparan la comida y los socios repartidores multiplican su negocio. Por lo tanto, tiene una cantidad muy elevada de actores, de stakeholders, y funciona a nivel digital y a nivel físico, porque la entrega es física. La misión es hacer que todos coman bien sin esfuerzo. Acá los principios de design thinking utilizados son la inmersión, la iteración y la innovación. Vamos a ver el programa Walkabout, muy interesante. Cada trimestre los diseñadores realizan una visita a una ciudad diferente para estudiar su mercado, su cultura alimentaria, transporte, infraestructuras logísticas. Entrevistan a socios comerciales, restaurantes, clientes. El equipo siempre se esfuerza por la innovación continua para satisfacer las necesidades de todos. A los conductores se les ha dado la oportunidad de hacer viajes y entregas, así de ganar más. A los cocineros se les ofreció un tablero de ventas para monitorear la demanda de platos y mejorar el menú con recetas nuevas. Para los clientes que quieren comer rápido, fue creado el menú entregado en menos de 30 minutos. Así, una atención a todos los actores que Uber Eats tiene. Sería muy interesante continuar con otros ejemplos, pero ya estamos a las conclusiones. Así os invito a mirar a otros casos de empresas conocidas, mirando si utilizan el design thinking. Nosotros podemos concluir que el design thinking en el hombre, el enfoque del design thinking en el hombre y la empatía podrían parecer obvios, fáciles, porque no encontramos una técnica sofisticada. Tradicionalmente, muchos procesos comerciales resultan estar centrados en los objetivos de las empresas, más que en los objetivos de los consumidores o de los empleados. Así, acá con el design thinking nos cambiamos la perspectiva, la centramos en las personas, que sean consumidores o empleados. Las empresas están acostumbradas a evaluar costos, eficiencias, pero no a expandir el número de soluciones posibles, lo que alimenta el pensamiento divergente, como tantas veces se hace a través de la herramienta de la lluvia de ideas. Las discusiones en la literatura subrayan la falta de rigor teórico y metodológico. Así, esto sí es un límite y el desafío de validar, necesita el desafío de validar el design thinking. Tiene que ser una meta de investigación. Se debe explorar la sinergia entre design thinking y otros enfoques similares. El design thinking confronta a las personas con un miedo que todos intentan evitar, el posible fracaso. Esto requiere un liderazgo que fomente la empatía, la capacidad de enfrentar la ambigüedad y la incertidumbre. Todo esto es necesario si se quiere innovar. En la incertidumbre que domina los escenarios futuros, para las organizaciones es importante desarrollar nuevas prácticas, habilidades y rutinas. Es probable que sea necesaria la intersección de diferentes perspectivas en la intersección de la planificación estratégica, el design thinking y la gestión de la innovación para que el mundo empresarial pueda afrontar los nuevos desafíos en el horizonte. Aquí termina mi intervención. Muchas gracias a todos por la paciencia, por su atención y leímos acá mi contacto, mi correo. Y mientras tanto, quiero si hay preguntas sobre el tema. Acá estoy.
Por supuesto, profesora. Igualmente, muchas gracias por toda la presentación y el conocimiento impartido. En este momento surgen tres preguntas principalmente. La primera que nos aparece aquí sería, ¿cómo aplicar el design thinking para poder ser cada vez mejores profesores?
Es muy interesante. Para encontrar nuevos profesores. Yo diría que la hoja de vida sirve solo muy poco, realmente. Yo confío mucho más en el conocer las personas personalmente en línea y poner preguntas muy extrañas, donde empatizando con ellos. Empatizando con ellos significa para mí, como profesor, yo que busco. Mi objetivo, ¿qué es? Que no es el objetivo de la universidad por lo que yo trabajo. Mi objetivo de vida personal, ¿qué es? Cómo yo entiendo y vivo mi trabajo y qué quiero conseguir como satisfacción, como emoción cuando encuentro los estudiantes o cuando hago investigación. Así, poniendo en el centro, hay un instrumento que se llama el mapa de empatía, que se puede encontrar muy fácilmente en red, o si alguien me escribe, puedo enviarlo, y esta herramienta explica cómo ponerse en la ropa del otro, empatizando con el otro, haciendo preguntas como el otro. Así uno percibe de manera mejor las personas, adapta más cerca al contexto en lo que tienen que ser insertados. No sé si fue clara y
Sí,
suficiente.
profesora. Sí, por supuesto. Podríamos entonces pasar a la siguiente pregunta que nos surge acá,
Sí.
la cual nos dice, ¿el design thinking en qué contextos puede ser utilizado para la gestión en las universidades?
¿En qué contexto? Yo hago un ejemplo. Muy recientemente en todo el mundo vivimos la pandemia y que llegó una gran incertidumbre, que no nos gusta la gran incertidumbre en todo el mundo y en todo el mundo del trabajo. Así la universidad contestaba como podía con nuevos instrumentos, cuando podía formaba rápidamente los profesores, muy poco los estudiantes. Pero en todos estos procesos, muy raramente, yo he visto una perspectiva de design thinking, que significaba poner al centro los estudiantes. Así, en este momento de incertidumbre, las preguntas correctas que una institución tenía que hacerse eran: ¿qué quiere ahora mi estudiante para continuar a estudiar con tranquilidad en distancia? Porque cuando yo cambio la tecnología, yo cambio la relación que tengo con los estudiantes. La tecnología no es una sustitución de la relación, pero ninguno aprendí por tiempo, o ninguno, la mayoría de los profesores no tuvo la oportunidad de aprender cómo relacionarse de manera diferente a través del instrumento tecnológico con sus estudiantes. Así, yo creo que el design thinking, poniendo en el centro el estudiante y sus necesidades, no las mías, sus necesidades, cambiaba la perspectiva y podía ayudar más en la mejora de las clases en línea. Así, lo mismo ahora en una institución siempre tenemos relaciones con los estudiantes, pero también entre nosotros a nivel horizontal, entre los colegas, con los jefes, con los niveles superiores. Y siempre la empatía puede ser una llave para relacionarse con los diferentes niveles en una manera adecuada, porque tanto hablamos del trabajo en equipo, pero Sorprendentemente, tantos no estamos preparados a un correcto trabajo de equipo. Bien, creo que esta es mi observación. Vamos a la tercera, si fue clara.
Por supuesto, totalmente. La tercera pregunta es la siguiente, es un poco extensa y dice lo siguiente. Se ha dicho anteriormente que el design thinking debe seguir construyendo los marcos teóricos que le den cada vez más rigor. En este sentido, ¿cuál cree usted que sea el siguiente paso del design thinking para ser totalmente aceptado en la comunidad científica?
Sí, le falta un marco teórico apropiado y riguroso. No es fácil construirlo porque las empresas en todo el mundo ya son casi 20 años que lo utilizan. Así, en la práctica tenemos muy experiencia, pero en la teoría no. Y esto es necesario porque la abstracción nos ayuda a enfrentar la práctica nuevamente con muchos elementos diferentes juntos. Así sí, creo que la investigación tenga que ir explorando este aspecto para darle fuerza y rigor. Tantas veces pasa lo contrario, es decir, tenemos tanto rigor, pero no sirve en la práctica a las empresas. Acá tenemos lo contrario, pero refuerzando los aspectos de lógica, de abstracción, se puede facilitar también, en mi opinión, el lado práctico, la aplicación.
Perfecto, profesora. Muchas gracias por responder todas las preguntas. Así llegaremos al final de esta presentación.
Muchísimas gracias, profesora Magdalena de la Volpe, por ser parte del sistema PENSER y por haber participado esta noche con su intervención. To continue with the next unit, we call the professor Anaid Petrescu Mirela, currently holds the position of PhD professor at Faculty of Economic Science, Petroleum Gas University of Ploiesti, Romania, starting with 2021. Mirela Panait, also scientific researcher at the Institute of National Economy and PhD advisor at the Doctoral School of the Romanian Academy. Her work experience derives from and includes teaching courses and seminaries, research activities, participating in scientific conferences regarding research results. These are represented by publishing 7 books and over 100 scientific papers in the field of interest, energy transition, foreign investment, capital market, corporate social responsibility, and sustainable development. She has published articles in leading international journals, including Land Use Policies, Energies, Sustainability, and Post-One. On the editorial level, the activity of Mirela Panait is intense, being associate editor, guest editor of reviewer at prestigious journals within Emerald, Wale, NDPI, and IDI global groups. Go ahead, Professor. Thank you very much.
Hello, dear colleagues. My name is Mirela Panait, and I'm very honored and very happy to be part of this international summer school. I'm a professor at Petroleum Gas University of Ploiești, Faculty of Economic Sciences. Our university was established 75 years ago, and this year we will have anniversary, and we will organize an international conference focused on creativity and innovation in digital economy. This international conference will be held in November in hybrid format, You are welcome to submit the abstract and have a presentation at our conference. In addition, I want to mention that our faculty has an international scientific journal, Economic Insights, Trends and Challenges, that is indexed in several international databases. So your papers can be published in our journal. I am a scientific researcher at the Institute of National Economy from Romanian Academy. This institute was established 70 years ago, and this year we also celebrate and organized an international conference focused on resilience under the sign of creativity, crisis, and conflicts. This conference was online conference, and previous edition was in the middle of the June, and the next edition will be in June 30 and 14. In addition, the Institute of National Economy has a scientific journal indexed in several international databases. The name of the journal is the Romanian Journal of Economics, and your paper are welcomed to be published in this journal. Today, our presentation will be focused on universities and system thinking, taking in account that universities are important players, but in a complex world. System thinking can be explained as the ability to see the whole behind its part and to see the parts in the context of the whole. Additional definition can be the definition shared and Secher. System thinking is a holistic approach that puts the study of the wholes before that of the parts. And the holistic management approach is useful. System thinking enables managers to cope with increasing complexity and the challenges generated by globalization, but also climate change, have generating the repositioning of universities at national and international level. Their activity has become increasingly complex the last centuries, generating significant revolution in the academic field. The first revolution generated a new function for universities. It is about research function. The second function is entrepreneurial or economic development. The growth of the population, the intensification of the organization process, the increase of the complexity of the economic activities has generated the massification of the educational process, which brings new challenges such as covering the funding needs of universities. Because of that, new functions were established in this century. It's about sustainability function and internalization functions. So In addition to teaching, research has become increasingly important. The importance of these functions within universities are different because there are teaching universities and research universities and their impact on different levels can be appreciated in social, economic, or scientific terms. I want to mention that university company relationships have amplified and become more and more complex, reason for which university have become entities that carried out their activity on economic principles and their entrepreneurial spirit involving the companies on a regional or national or international level. More and more universities have an entrepreneurial approach in their activity by integrating the function of economic development within the traditional functions of higher education. It's about teaching and research. In this way, universities become leaders of economic development regionally, nationally, and even internationally by transforming knowledge into capital. Partnership concluded by universities with various entities such as research institute, other educational institutions, municipalities, regional authorities, professional associations, private companies, banks generate the takeover of specific function to partners and the immersion of new entities such as incubators, science parks, or venture capital funds. So, in the modern world, higher education institutions are recognized as significant actors in promoting entrepreneurial activities and sustainable development. Entrepreneurship attracts the attention of scholars and government as it is important for the economic development of a country. Establishing an entrepreneurial culture in a university can lead to an increased number of startups launched by young people, in fact, by students. In addition, a focus on sustainability ensures preservation the ecosystem and the improvement of the lives of society while achieving economic goals. Universities create and spread knowledge, provide support for technological progress and for the starting business. The concept of entrepreneurial university involves a partnership with external organizations such industry and government in order to increase the performance of the three bodies. Entrepreneurial universities can facilitate economic, cultural, and social development, and they are able to create value. Changing paradigm, entrepreneurial university trade knowledge and strive to create technological focused companies. As a result, they can attract important financial resources. So many scholars emphasize that entrepreneurial universities differ from business school by focusing not on commercial achievement, but rather on solving social programs and putting innovation into practice. So universities are expected to generate technological innovation and knowledge that can be applied by industrial companies and societies. In international scientific literature, there are different understanding of the model of the entrepreneurial universities, but are still limited studies in these directions. Because of that, more research can be conducted to fill the gap, particularly in the light of sustainable development. Some scholars try to fill this gap and publish empirical studies regarding entrepreneurship from the sustainability perspective. So higher education institutions are expected to integrate sustainable development issue into entrepreneurship education. So entrepreneurial ecosystem can have a contribution to the sustainability of countries. And universities may influence sustainable entrepreneurship through their support and encourage young people, the future leaders, to contribute to sustainable development goals. So more and more universities incorporate sustainability in their strategies and in addition, sustainability and green university are concepts used in education system, and many universities include sustainable development goals in teaching and research programs. And in addition, at international level, there are many sustainability ranking system and declarations on which sustainable universities action are based. In this slide, I present some idea about possibility of universities to promote sustainable development principles. These principles can be promoted on different levels. For example, for institutional framework, on research activity, on education, in campus operation, or collaboration with different stakeholders, in campus experience, and of course in reporting that measure progress and share sustainability results and achievement. And in this way, there are possible to release some university sustainability rankings. In this slide, I present several sustainability declarations and ranking system available at international level that focus on different aspects of sustainability, like environmental education or sustainability partnership or higher education sustainability that can be used by universities in order to promote sustainable development at regional, national, and international level. Given the specific of the activities carried out, academic organizations have created different entities for consultation and promotion of sustainable development. The most important are Sustainable Development Solution Network, International Sustainable Campus Network, Association of the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, and Environmental Association for Universities and Colleges. In addition, I want to mention that at the international level, there are available principles released by United Nations Global Compact. These principles were released for companies, but United Nations tailor these principles also for universities, and there are available principles for responsible management education. And these principles can be adapted to universities in order to create educational frameworks, material, processes, to improve research activity, to interact with business corporation, and of course to support dialogue with different stakeholders like government, media, civil society, consumers, and so on. Scholars suggested that universities can take different actions in order to implement sustainabilities. For example, the development of programs and degrees in order to engage in innovative projects and to introduce sustainable development in educations. Another level can be the scientific research that can be focused on sustainable development, and the results can be spread with society and other stakeholders. And students and community can be stimulated by universities to reach sustainable development goals, and in addition indicators for measuring sustainability can be established in both teaching and facility management in order to improve performance of university in this. Here I present some top for the most important universities that promote sustainable development principles in their activities, and as can be seen, the main concern about sustainability are focused in developed countries like United Kingdom, Australia, Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand, and the United States of America. Here are another top, but the universities are differentiated by the sustainable development goal promoted. One university promote health, another promote quality education or clean energy or industry innovation. Other universities focused on sustainable cities and communities, climate action, or partnership for the goals. So different approaches, but the results are very good for students and for communities. In this slide, I focus on the globalization of economic activity and the impact of this trend on universities. Liberalization of international movement, the international migration, the use of English as the dominant language on a scientific level have fueled the internalization process of universities, and there are many forms of manifestation. For example, in countries like Qatar, Singapore, or United Arab Emirates, the public authorities have reshaped educational strategies by attracting prestigious foreign universities that have the role of higher education hubs in order to set up local campuses. So students have access to a quality educational process to Western standards, and local professors can be attracted to the teaching and research activities of these universities. In addition, the existence of these foreign universities in the national economic environment generates other positive externalities, such as partnership with local public or private companies. In other countries, the instruments of internalization are different. The university pursuing the launch and development of study programs in foreign language and attracting teachers from abroad for both teaching and research activities. So different strategies, but the results are very good for universities, but also for local here I present the evolution of this approach. Universities have different strategies, so sending students to study abroad, setting up a branch campus, or engaging in inter-institutional partnership. So the conclusions of these studies are several and listed in the next slide. University has become an important economic agent in the economy, and they expand the function they perform. From teaching function to research function, economic development function, sustainability function, and internationalization function. One of the main concerns of universities are sustainability, and that sustainability is treated in different fields like teaching activity, research activity. So the involvement of universities in promoting the principles of sustainable development has been achieved gradually, and these entities embracing the concept of social responsibility. So the social responsibility is not a concept that apply only for companies, but also for universities. There is a relationship between education and sustainable development is essential, and there are different perspectives in order to reach these sustainable development goals. In addition, the internationalization progress of the academic world is fed primarily by information and communication technologies that provide online meeting and data transfer. And the COVID crisis has led to the widespread use of new technology and the creation of virtual research networks that bring together specialists from different countries. I'm sure that our online meeting is due to this virtual research network. I'm very happy that I'm part of this international network, and maybe we will see soon at different events. Thank you very much for your attention, and I invite you again to be part of our conferences in Romania, because as I told you at the beginning of this presentation, the conferences are online or on hybrid format, so you are welcome to be part of our conferences. Thank you very much for your attention, and keep in touch.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your intervention. In this moment, we invite Professor Anna Bubunova. She's master's degree in the field of linguistics and teaching, PhD in pedagogical science, coordinator of academic affairs in the Department of Foreign Languages, senior lecturer, People Friendship, University of Russia, Moscow former teacher, Moscow Secondary School 1186, a member of the committee conducting linguistic competitions among Moscow secondary schools, research interests, development of moral qualities of ESL learners, integration ICT into ESL classroom, modern languages, intercultural communication, professional incidents, organizing ESL courses, and teacher training. Welcome, Professor Anna Bubunova.
Good morning, dear teachers, professors, students. It's really nice to be here with you today. My name is Anna Bubunova. I'm a senior teacher in Rudan University, and I'm PhD in pedagogy. And here now I'm in Moscow, Russia. And well, today's topic, I'm talking about such important skills, leadership skills. What do you think? Are skills, leader skills, are they born or they can be made? It's actually interesting. Of course, you've heard about many courses of self-development, about famous coaches, about some programs where you can develop the skills of your eloquence and charisma. But it hasn't been the case. For many centuries, since ancient Greeks and Romans, the skills hasn't been considered as developed. They've been considered as born in inner skills. But over the centuries, everything has changed. And now scholars, they proved that the skills can be shaped and developed. And if they can be developed, they should be developed, especially in future teachers. And how are leadership skills and systemic thinking related? Here you can see Russian Minister of Economic Development and Finance, Mr. Grev. And Mr. Herman Grev, he gave a really eloquent speech and gave brilliant example of systematic thinking in his recent lecture in a business school. And he explained it like synthesis analyzes all the time. It means that you all the time getting into details and getting out of these details in time. Sounds like superpower, and sounds like only personalities, individuals like businessmen, ministers, presidents can possess it. And of course, it's great to have systemic thinking. It's like to be healthy, not sick, to be rich, not poor. But if we look from the other hand, from the other extreme, we can see that these skills is rather important in any field, from business to teaching, and how to create your business without analysis and synthesis or systemic thinking. Let's look at some common leadership skills. All of you know, it's like top of the list. It's not all, of course. Okay, a leader should be purposeful. They should know how to reach the goal. They should have motivational skills to make their peers, to make their employees to work hard, to be ready to work good and to be successful too. Of course, they should be self-confident and responsible not only for themselves, but responsible for the whole company and the whole community. They should be determined and competent in their job, even not in common daily duties, but competence in particular processes, particular technological features, and deep knowledge of their job. They should have analytical skills, self-discipline, be communicative, and of course, to have a desire to constantly developing. Let's talk a bit about leadership science. According to Peter Senge, young professionals should develop their leadership skills not only in order to manage their work, not only to be a good member of teamwork, no, but to self-development. And according to Fred Fiedler's idea and his theory, leaders and non-leaders, they both depend on leadership skills. Of course, leadership skills of leaders that can make from any community a healthy community. Without leaders, there will no success, and non-leaders can suffer from it. And it's really important for young professionals. But my topic is about teachers. You don't forget? Okay. So what about teachers? But teachers, they have different skills. Well, it's probably, the top of the list. And not all skills that teachers should possess. But let's look attentively. All the skills they have something in common. Don't they? You see. I hope you see. They have humanitarian orientation. That's everything about sensitivity, about empathy, about emotional support. And these skills are really important for teachers. And of course, they can be born or they can be developed. And they should be developed from the first year of academic study in college or high school, or whatever. Future teachers should possess the skills. And really, sometimes it's difficult to differentiate the skills in teacher practice. That's why we came to idea that we need a special, that the skills, they sometimes implemented, they sometimes more implicit in some situation, and we distinguish 4 components for these skills: organizational, constructive, gnostic, and communicative component. And sometimes when a teacher has some challenges, I think they can differentiate the situation and try to choose the skill that is needed to overcome difficulties and face it successfully. Let's talk about Teachers Leadership Development Program. This program has been implemented in Cambridge University. Then it's been spread in Harvard University practice, and then it's appeared around the globe. I cannot tell you that exactly the same name it has, but the idea probably is the same, that young teachers, they are taught to be future leaders and masters of their teaching practice, and they are responsible for their skills and for their development. Let me explain you. This is called academic imperialism. That means that the idea actually belonged to John Eliot, and he created a concept about academic imperialism that shortly it explains that it's up to teachers to be responsible for academic success of their students. They should be responsible for new technologies, and it's up to teachers, but not up to administrative staff. I'm talking about principals or directors. No, it's up to teachers, and young teachers, they should know that they are leaders of their activity in a classroom. They are leaders of their activity in school society. They are leaders of their collaboration with students and collaboration with their parents and representatives. And well, this academic imperialism is rather important for Russian education. I will tell you the story. Well, the paradigm of democracy being implemented 30 years ago. And after that, all citizens, they had to be responsible for their lives, for their success, and for the whole community. But before that difficult time, government had to be responsible for their life, for their well-being. And then it happens that to change, to make benefit, to lead healthy community, people, they had to be responsible for everything. And for young teachers, not teachers, for even students of technological specialties, it was a stumbling block to become a leaders of their lives. But now situation and time has changed, and we have lots of leaders, but I still think I still think that we have a shadow of previous years, and some students, unfortunately, irresponsible, and unfortunately, some future teachers, they don't feel that they are responsible for their future, I can't tell a career, but for their future development, even from the first day of their study at college or university. And here are some different system of actions that can be taken by future teachers in order to develop some skills. And let's talk about types of activities that's necessary for any teacher that wants to enhance their leadership skills. First activity designed to engage others in collaboration, reflection, and self-evaluation. Others, that means everyone. I'm talking about mostly about peers and school administration and more experienced teachers. For some young teachers, I know that is a stumble block to communicate to experienced teachers because they can judge them because they are still students. They feel like they're students. They try to do their first steps in education. And sometimes it's a real fear to be determined in what you are doing in your practices, in your knowledge, because the young teachers, they don't have such experience. And second types are activities that help to redefine teaching. Well, actually, it's discussion with colleagues, reading a report posted online, reports of students, maybe I'm talking about feedbacks, gathering students' opinion about their experience, and visiting classrooms to observe or plan lesson with colleagues. And there is a good practice. It's to collaborate with peers. I mean, a group of students, they have practice at school and they visiting each other classes and they discuss them without any tutors or leading teacher. They discuss them. They can be creative. They can be a bit crazy, whatever, but they should feel freedom to make something different, to spread some extraordinary ideas that had never been sounded and had never been in the air. And of course, there are some stumble blocks and challenges that will appear. I can tell you my story. After graduation university, I spent 3 years as a young teacher in a comprehensive school. I had a lot of ideas in my mind, but actually I was never allowed to take part in any collaboration with more experienced teachers. I felt like I'm still a pupil, and for me it was easier to collaborate with my school students than to more experienced teachers. And unfortunately, I was not heard. I was not sounded. I ruined my first steps. And I know that in some traditional schools, it's not common practice to discuss some challenges with young teachers, to listen to young teachers, to listen to their ideas and take them into account. But I believe if young teachers, they start their career, they should and even must to be capable not to be afraid, but to overcome their fears and to break this wall of ignorance, to break this wall of traditional methods, because there is no progress. And I believe that future teachers, they are ready to spread their ideas. They are ready to fight their ideas, okay, but reasonably, not just fight for everything good, but to break the wall and not to build anything. No, but you should be sounded, you should be heard, and you must be listened to. Well, here you can see the example of systemic thinking leadership development steps. It's approbation of new technologies, evaluation of these technologies in real practice, reflection after practice performed, and analytical work that must be done after effective implementation. And the previous steps, they can be found in a more easy things, because it's kind of the same. You should plan what you're going to do. The young teachers should teach something new, implement some new technologies, then analyze them, and then generalize. And then last step, to put it into future practice, to create something new, like new technology or strategy. And please see, there are some 7 steps of success. And for me, the most important is peer consultation. I've told before that in collaboration with young teachers, future teachers can find some support. They can be open-minded, they can spread all ideas they have inside of them, and this is real good thing. And well, you can read all the next steps. Well, they're also very important. Okay, let's move forward. You can see some pedagogical condition of leadership development for teachers, and it's up to professors to know about them. And as for me, I would like to point out it's for me, I think it's mostly crucial point. It's participation of students in projects and social activities. And here I would like to make a step forward and tell you that it's not in a teaching practice where future teachers acquire their leadership skills. They acquire them in any supportive work, in their family activities, in talking to kids, in helping people around, someone who needs. Well, and if as a teacher, as a professional, as a professor, you should take into account the success, success of your students in social life. And if they do something that can make benefit, that can make a difference, you should take it into account and to observe it. And then you can see that your students, they are in the right way. They are ready to be good teachers. And here I would like to give you some stages of comprehensive leadership training in higher education. Well, this is last slide, but I think one of the most rewarding one. It's a plan how to act with your students. If you have freshmen, it's good to start with first-year students and to find out future leaders. Sometimes you will trip, but sometimes you will see that some students, they are really bright, they are ready for collaboration. And these students, they standing out, sometimes they showy, sometimes they're bright, sometimes they are sounded. And these students is first group. It's easy to distinguish them among student communities. But it's not the end, because the rest of students, they have leadership skills hidden inside of them, and you should observe really confidently. You should observe thoroughly in academic activities, in scientific and social activities of the rest of students. And even you should have kind of interview with them or questionnaires in order to see that they have a slightly, maybe not slightly, perspectives for leadership. And I think that students sometimes, even they're young, they don't know that they have a potential to be a good leader, a teacher, as a teacher. And second step is follow-up work at developing leadership qualities in organizing some kind of activity. Well, maybe you can start from first year, maybe from second year of study, but the idea is that you give them tasks to prepare organizational work. Maybe it's going to be students' competition, maybe another contest or excursion or project or whatever, a concert. But you can give them kind of work they should organize themselves and feel that they're leaders. And the more work you give them, the more leadership skills you will see in them in future too. And the last point, it's a delegation of authority implemented in extracurricular work in participation in various activities. Probably it's the idea for further development as kind of work with graduates, and you should give some kind of your daily routine to your students. Maybe it's going to be I don't know, well, work with freshmen or something, but something that is really part of professor duties that they can take and be responsible for. And it can help them to see the whole responsibility, to feel how difficult it is to be a professional. And after all the steps, you can add some else, because it's up to you. You can create your own activities for your students in order to develop their leadership skills. But after all the steps, they can go to school practice and to be ready to collaboration, to break in the wall of ignorance, to break in all maybe not working methods, and to be ready to be leaders of their lives and to be leaders for their school communities and for their students. Well, now I would like to end up my my conversation to you, and I hope if you find something touching, something that struck you, or maybe something that appeared useful to you, I'm really pleased. And thank you very much for your attention. And I hope to see you next year. That's a real honor for me. Thank you very much to spending this time with me. I hope you will do well, and I wish you have success in your future career, or have success in your teaching profession. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Professor Ana Pupunova, for your intervention. We, in this moment, say thank you, assistants, lecturers, again, for being part of this great activity. This is the end of International Summer School for Professors Training 2023. We hope have a great night.